Hello, Coach Stouty and Burlington Demon baseball team. This is Coach Rapay. I'm the director of the Milwaukee Brewers Baseball Academy. We're the traveling summer camp program of your Milwaukee Brewers. And I'm also the guy, probably more importantly, who makes sure that Coach Stouty is tucked in every night during the summertime because he is my right-hand guy. All right, listen, we're going to talk about the Major League Swing. We're going to break down what you can call it the anatomy of the Major League Swing. The nice thing about it is that it applies to exactly what you guys are doing on a daily basis. So let's take a look at the guy that you probably recognize. I shot this footage myself at spring training just a few weeks ago. So we'll walk through Mr. Braun here. Take a look at him in slow motion. We're going to talk about these various stages, and this guy can flat hit, can he? Now, I was saying that before we just won 10 games in a row. All right, now, first of all, before you put your foot down, or we call it the heel down position, what you do prior to that is a matter of style, right? So that's where you look on television, ESPN, and you see guys that are, they got their hands high, some guys are open, some guys are closed, and you go, well, hey, you know what? It seems to me like there's no cookie cutter approach here, that everybody has their own way of doing things. Well, to an extent that's true, but only until the point that they get their front heel down. Now you see here, Braun's got his hands way in at his ear. We all know he doesn't swing that way. All right, his feet are narrow. All right, so the way a guy looks prior to heel down is almost irrelevant. Now the only time that as an instructor we will ask a hitter to change that is if it's getting in the way of one of the absolutes. Because there are three things we're trying to do in every swing. We're trying to get the bat from there to there as quickly, as directly, as efficiently as we possibly can. Okay, that's number one. Number two is we're trying to keep it on that hitting zone for as long as we possibly can. I'm talking about time-wise, not distance. Excuse me, I'm talking about distance, not time-wise. And the third thing is that we want to impact as much power at the point of contact as we can. Okay, so we want to get the bat directly to the zone. We want to get in the hitting zone quickly. We want to leave it there for a long distance, and we want to do some damage at contact. Okay, so let's get to where it really starts. We really start keeping score in the swing. There he's at toe touch, and right there he's at heel down. Okay, now at this point, almost all hitters are exactly the same. Now I will tell you that this is Monday evening. Yesterday afternoon I was in Cincinnati, and the Reds asked me to assist with a hitting clinic with their first baseman, Joey Votto. And as I sat there, I listened to Joey Votto make this statement. He said that once his front foot hits the ground, he said, everybody should look like this. And he made this statement. He said, I hit a home run today, which he did. He had about a 420-foot blast to dead center. I hit a home run today, and every other major league hitter who hit a home run today starts from this position. All right? And I can tell you that after studying hitters all the way back to Babe Ruth, Mickey Mantle, Willie Mays, you name it, he's talking the truth. This is how we do it. And this is where Ryan Braun is right now. He may be a little, I'm going to move him back just a little, right about there. Okay, now, what are the elements we're looking at? He's actually a little bit advanced because he's starting to, let's see. Now remember, this is live, so we're not talking about putting the ball on a tee and having him mimic the swing. This is the real deal. In fact, Braun doubled to left center in this at-bat. All right, so what are we looking for? We got a little flexion in the knees, all right? And those knees are inside our feet. There's never a reason for us to go so far back that our knees would be outside our feet. Now, some guys like to do that. And they do that because they think it gives them more power. In reality, what happens is that it gives them less control. They don't really swing much harder. Maybe they do a little bit. But we're not playing slow-pitch softball here. You've got to get the fat part of the bat to the right spot at the right time. Hitting is about timing. So you can swing 100 miles an hour, but if you don't get the bat to the right spot at the right time, that's a swing and a miss. Right? That's exactly what every pitcher, you look around at your teammates sitting right next to you there, that's what your pitchers are trying to do to the opposition. So as a hitter, let's not let that happen to us. So what we've found is the optimum position is for our knees to be inside our feet and balanced. Notice that his head is right down the middle of his body. He's not leaning back. He's not lunging forward. He's balanced. He's in a position to hit a fastball to hit a breaking ball. Most importantly, he's in a position to be wrong and still have enough balance that he can generate power, even if he was looking for gas and he got Uncle Charlie. He's looking for a fastball, he got something off speed. Okay? Now, his head is up, both eyes can see the ball. He's tracking. His hands are at about his shoulder height. See that right there? So I can make this a little bigger here. His hands are at shoulder height, and they are pushed back right at about his back elbow. They're not beyond. And I know, now he's a little bit elongated here, and I can tell because there should be a little bit more bend in that elbow. But he's right at about his back elbow. Where he is not he's not way back here where that arm is straight. We call that barring out. Nor does he have his hands in here at his armpit where he has no power. He can simply push the bat to the ball. So again, remember that first thing we talked about is being able to take the bat directly to the hitting zone. Well, this is the best place to launch from. You can be a little above that. You can be a little bit below that. That's okay. But just don't have your bat up around the top of your helmet, all right, or down here. So you're not going to be able to recover to hit certain pitches. Okay? His back foot is pointed directly across. Don't let that back foot leak back toward the catcher at all, that back toe, because what it does is it really disables your ability to get that back hip through on time. And the front foot, now you're going to find this is maybe a little bit different than what you've been taught. And I'm not talking about from Coach Stoddy because he knows the truth here, but from a lot of instructors or maybe from your youth coaches. And that is that, and we teach it too, to stride with the foot straight across. But you can clearly see that Ryan Braun's foot is at about a 35-degree angle. All right? That's perfectly okay so long as that knee doesn't start to open and that shoulder doesn't start to open and that hip doesn't start to open. All right? So basically what I'm saying is it's okay for your stride foot to come down slightly open as long as your body isn't opening toward third base if you're a right-handed hitter. Okay? Because this actually, a lot of major leaguers you'll find land with that foot slightly open because it helps them clear their hips, particularly on an inside pitch. And remember, they're facing some pretty serious cheese. All right? So those are pretty much the fundamental elements with the last very important point, and that is the position of that bat, the angle of that bat. Those wrists are cocked so that that bat is pointed, the knob of the bat is pointed down toward the catcher's feet. At camp we like to talk about, because kids love lasers, so we like to talk about if there is a laser coming out of the knob of the bat, whose shoelaces is it burning off? And you can clearly see from this it's going right down to the catcher's feet. That places the barrel of the bat somewhere over the top of your head. That's the ideal position. Now you're going to see some variance from there, but I'll tell you what, you won't see a major leaguer with that bat behind his head like you do a lot of kids. You won't see a major leaguer with that bat straight up and down. We want to get our hands in this position to where we can now pull with both hands to take that bat head, to take the knob of that bat to the inside of the baseball, all right, complete the swing. And that's really, really important. I once sat in the batting cage with the hitting instructor, hitting coach for the Chicago White Sox, who's now the hitting coach for the Atlanta Braves, for an hour and a half. And all he did was work with one of our minor leaguers on getting him in that position because he felt that he was leaving some power on the table by not getting his hands in that position. Okay? And what's very important here to one of my next phases, not going to be the next one right away, is this angle. Okay, now, so the question becomes now, what is the first domino that falls in the swing? What's the first thing to happen? A lot of times you'll hear this, well, you just throw your hands at the ball. Well, you do throw your hands at the ball, but that's the last thing you do. Remember that the big muscles move the small muscles, so therefore the core of our body, our hips, our thighs, our knees, that's what powers forward and brings the shoulders, brings the arms, and the hands, and the bat head to the ball. That's when we throw our hands and the bat head at the ball. We make the final small adjustments to square up a pitch. But we don't do that until the lower half, our power center, brings the bat through. Okay, so what's the first thing that goes? Now here's listen very carefully to me, because this may sound like I'm contradicting myself, but I'm really not. There's your power center right here, that hip. we lock out that front leg, we lock out that front leg and that front hip, and the back hip is almost trying to replace it. Just like when you're pitching and that strike foot lands. All right? So we're creating some separation between our upper half and our lower half. But what I have found, the easiest way to teach this, to make sure we're doing it right, is if that knee pinches down and in toward our front ankle. All right? If that's the first movement, and guys, listen, if you see this in real-time speed, you can't see it. You just can't pick it up because the knee pinching and that hip firing happens so quickly. It's just a millisecond, but I want you to think in terms of the knee pinching and then that fires the hip around. They're not really two separate motions, but one happens first. So the first domino that falls is that knee pinch. Take a look here at Ryan Braun. Watch his back knee. There it is. See it coming down? See the back knee? Now, is he spinning on that back foot? Nope, he's not, right? But that knee is beginning to pinch forward and down. It's gaining ground on the front leg. Okay? Now, well, how do I know if we're using our back knee correctly? Because if I put, let's get him back here. Right there, okay? Let's say that he's up against that wall. That green line represents a wall. If he pinches that knee and then gets rotational, and I mean violently rotational, he unloads the bus, his heel is not going to smack into that green line or that wall. If he is sitting on his back leg and, as we used to use the term, squish the bug, and just pivoting, which makes him very vulnerable to outside pitches because that bat wants to get out and around. It wants to get very long to the ball. Then his heel rather, is going to retreat back toward the catcher. So let's see what Ryan Braun does. Not only does it not retreat toward the catcher, he actually gains ground that direction. And you're going to see that with Miguel Cabrera. You're going to see it with Carlos Gomez. You're going to see it with Mike Trout, with Robinson Cano, with Joey Votto. Those guys end up with their laces toward the pitcher on their toe. And again, I'm going to tell you something I want you to listen very carefully to. It may sound, again, like it's just a nuance, but in these little details, the difference between an amateur swing let me just say that a single A swing and a major league swing. And that is that the foot does not turn the leg. We don't spin on our foot to turn the leg. The knee pinch, hip turn allows us to roll up on our back toe. It just naturally happens that Ryan Braun is going to roll up on that toe. He's not spinning his foot to turn his hip. It just naturally happens there. Okay? Got that? So we start with the proper stance. That's our foundation. It doesn't make any sense for us to be talking about the fifth and the sixth floor of the swing or contact and extension if our foundation isn't right. And the foundation is, where are we at heel down? And I've gone through those details. The second thing is, now that we've launched the swing, what's the first part of our body that gets going forward? And that's that inside part of that back knee. All right, now the next thing, and I call this my third moment of truth, because this is where kids have a tendency to screw up. Excuse me, not just kids, all hitters. And that is, we have a tendency to want to start doing things with our hands up here. Sometimes we will refer to this as laying off the bat head. Now if I was here, or I could give you an example, you would see what I mean. But a lot of guys will do this and not even realize it. Those wrists, Ryan Braun's wrists, remember I talked before about that angle? So it's going to be important. Ryan Braun's wrists stay cocked. They stay at that angle until they unfold into the ball at contact. And that's why, right now, that bat head is passing so close to Ryan Braun's shoulder. If Ryan Braun had flattened out his wrists, that bat head would be out here, which is where it is for most kids. And that's what we mean by a long swing. That bat comes out and around. Remember, we want to be short to long. We want to be direct to the ball and then long through the ball. And if we allow our wrists to break during this swing until it's the right time, then that bat head is going to flatten out. And what will happen then is that we will have a very aggressive uphill uppercut. It's kind of redundant. at point of contact, only the thing is it probably won't be a point of contact. It will be a point of miss, or at least poor contact. So that's why you see this bat head. In fact, we're going to have a poster at camp this summer that we're going to call shaft to shoulder, because it makes more sense instead of talking about hand path. Literally talking about how the shaft of that bat passes so close to that back shoulder. Okay, and he does that because he keeps those wrists, boom, like that. Okay, so let's get him back there. All right, so you with me so far, Coach? Coach Stouty? That kid in the third row, second one, he's not paying attention. Go over there and slap him. Throw some cold water. No, don't slap him because you'll get a lawsuit. Throw some cold water on him, though. Take his lunch away. All right, here we go. Now, the next part of the swing that we don't teach, but it's important to understand. We call this connection. Connection is when the hands and the back elbow pass by the hip at the same time. They're connected. That's what we mean by by staying inside the ball, by taking that knob of that bat to the inside part of the baseball. And you can see right there that Ryan Braun's hands and his back elbow are passing, if we had the angle out here, are passing right past the blue stripe on those pants. That's connection. It's one other thing that all great hitters have in common. Okay, they get to connection. Now, we really don't teach that because if you do everything else right, that happens. But we, as instructors, we will look at that to see if they're not doing that, because if they laid off that bat head, what happens is that back elbow, get this thing here, comes underneath before the hands, and that shows the bat head dropping down there. So that's just a typical symptom. Okay? So you see what he's doing here with those hands. He is simply going here to here as directly as he can. Now, let's get to you know what? Let's finish on with those wrists. Now the wrists unfold as we get. He is still at a 90-degree angle. Okay? It's only as he approaches contact that those wrists open, and now the bat head whips into the zone and makes contact. Okay? So it's all up until that point. Those wrists, the good thing here is I'm not asking you to do something with your wrists. I'm asking you to not do anything with your wrists. All right? Don't break your wrists until it's time to unfold them into contact. And here we are. Contact. Let's describe what we see here. I talked before about see how he's rolled up on that back foot, laces to the pitcher, toe on the ground, firm front side. Look at that straight line right there, that hitting line. He's got this bend in his back leg. A lot of times our hitters, and so you've probably got a couple guys on your team right there, have a tendency to go up on their tippy toe on their back leg, and it pushes us forward, moves our head forward. It raises our eye level. Not good. All right? He is palm up, palm down at contact. Look at where that head is. Man, oh man, that's right where it belongs. And look how the elbow is tucked in and close to the body. The further the elbow comes away from our body, the weaker we are. And you may say, hey, Coach, I see a lot of guys on replay, and they're reaching out. You know what? They're reaching out because they got fooled. Don't think that's a good swing. Not every swing a Major League Baseball player takes. I saw when I went to the ball game in Cincinnati, I saw Votto take some god-awful swings. All right, so not every swing is perfect because the guy on the mound is pretty good. But we want that elbow to stay tucked in. Palm up, palm down. Contact in front of the body line, even on pitches that are going to go away. And you can see how he's locked out that hip, and that back hip is rotated, and so he's at a point now where his belt buckle is out probably to the left of the pitcher, maybe even more getting towards shortstop. Full rotation. Okay? And now after contact, I don't think I can quite get there, but let me show you. Yeah, see, contact, and he pushes through. We like to talk about chasing the ball with the bat head. Post-contact extension. You want to know where the big contracts are made? The big money is made? The ball that is not gently falling on the warning track? It's what we do through the ball, not to the ball. It's the extension. It's getting through it and finishing and not allowing those hands. See, still palm up, palm down? Not allowing those hands to roll until our finish. Because as soon as that top hand rolls over on the bat head leaves the zone. And you might as well just put on a blinker because you just exited the hitting highway. All right? And remember, point number 2 was to stay on that highway as long as we can. And the reason for that is so that if we're looking for a particular pitch and we don't get it, so we've guessed wrong, the bat head stays in the hitting zone to where we might be able to fight it off for a foul ball, or even, as we get stronger, drive it to the opposite field gap for a single or a double. Okay? So post-contact extension. And let's see where he goes. Look at that. Great extension. Boom, that V. It's almost like he has a camera in the end of that bat, and it's out there taking a picture of the left fielder. Great extension. And finish. Stay right through the ball, and then run like crazy to first base. Okay? So get set up right. Now, by the way, this stride, the stride is a timing mechanism. It's also a way of transferring our weight back to forward. All right. Now, when he gets that big stride, just keep this in mind. He is an incredibly talented major league player. But the longer your foot is in the air, the easier it is for the pitcher to fool you. The longer your foot is in the air. So my advice would be to figure out what the optimum width is of your feet at heel down. And I will tell you that the average major leaguer is 60% of his height. But you have to have some man-sized strength to be at 60%. So, but at least be at 50% of your height. All right, 55%. Albert Pujols is 66%, if you can imagine how wide he is. Okay, but so get a nice wide base, and then move that foot back maybe 4 inches. So you're only taking a 4-inch stride. You're not going to have any loss of power, but you are going to have a significant increase in control of the bat head, which, by the way, controlling the bat head, getting it again to that right spot at the right time is what's going to generate power. And there you go. And notice when he finishes, his head and his back shoulder are over that knee. I should have pointed that out. I don't mean finish, I mean at contact. Let me get back to contact. We're not quite at contact, but tell you what, that's pretty close to contact. And I'm not sure that that's even an optical illusion, by the way. I actually think that that's how a wood bat bends when swung the way that these guys swing it. But see where he is at contact right here? That head and shoulder right over that back knee, creating that power line. Boom. You could do very well to pattern yourself after Ryan Braun, because in doing so, you will be patterning yourself after the greatest hitters, not only of our current generation, but of past generations. Okay, listen, Burlington Demons, good luck to you guys. Thanks for sitting through this and for not falling asleep. Now on the count of 3, everybody's got to go give Coach Stouty a big noogie. All right, 1, 2, go Brewers.